Go.
All right.
Please.
I just picked my nose on camera, I think. Ah. All right. We got the ding ding.
Okay, yes. Is it working? Dunk Tank is now live.
Man, we're starting.
On the correct channel, hopefully, maybe?
All right.
Yes.
Ah.
Okay, cool.
Oh man, it finally happened. We finally did something right in the in the grand scheme of this.
Please don't show that, because that's like not live, and that's going to mess me up.
Oh.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
So, hi guys. On the correct channel, with streaming and everything correctly, this time, maybe.
Still, as always, late. You're welcome.
What time is it?
5:41.
It's pre-F&M, so we're still on time. Like most
We did
Magic
it.
players, we kind of show up late sometimes.
Yeah, we hope you guys have been waiting, bated breath for such super magic to happen.
Oh yeah, I'm sure everyone has nothing better to do on Friday than watch us.
Right.
Especially Magic players, because, you know, F&M's a thing they go to. Although I guess some people have prior commitments and can't always make F&M.
We don't know who you are, as we are here and not committing to our other things that we have to do. So,
Right.
So obviously we're not you. But if you're watching us instead of at a card shop playing, we still admire what you do in the world.
Without casual players, Magic wouldn't exist.
Unless you're in Knoxville. Hold on. If you're in Knoxville right now,
Knoxville where?
Tennessee, that I hear that something's afoot there. Don't be there. You know what I'm talking about. We're not going to get political. Don't be there.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, just we're pro Juggalo right now. Don't do it.
Oh god, you said that word on stream.
Oh, I did.
Now we're on the FBI blacklist.
Oh man, I'm an official gang member. Sorry guys, we're trying to share links around so that everybody around the whole universe gets to watch us.
Right, all of our different fan bases can ignore the same notification multiple times.
When you see it all 8 different times.
Oh yeah, after the 3rd time it pops up on your phone in 10 minutes, you're just like, mute forever, go away.
Guys, anybody from real Winston MTG players, I hope you guys watch this because like 80% of what I do is for you.
Because the people in Greensboro suck?
No, just that's the group I'm most active. Greensboro, I love you guys too, but y'all are like 45 minutes away from me.
And High Point and Burlington and neighboring triad
Dude, I don't
areas.
know. Okay, so doing this whole live stream.
Look at camera when you're talking.
I'm trying to.
I know, but try to.
Doing all this traveling around has been pretty fun. I think actually, like.
Yeah, to play at some card shops we, for here example, have never played at before, or last week at GU had not played at since their move. It's good to get around, see some old friends we haven't seen in a long time, play at some new places or some different places, get different flavors of the local Magic players.
Yep. Because you kind of get stuck into this thing sometimes where you hang out at one shop and you're like, oh, this is cool, you know, and then you stay there and you never go anywhere else and you don't get to experience like all the great like atmosphere from any other shop near you. When like, you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people who live within like, you know, 20 30 minutes of 5 shops like I do.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I mean, I live in Kernersville, so really all the shops are about the same to me, 30 to 45 minutes in one direction via 40 or whatever highway. It's good to kind of see the way that different people do things, the way that different tournaments are set up, the way that different players want different prizes and want different things out of their Magic playing experience.
And it's also super cool, like, the different metas that are around here, because some shops will have people who are, you know, grindy, competitive.
Oh, that'll definitely keep you on your toes,
Right.
battling against like people that exclusively net deck top tier or people that exclusively do not net deck, only homebrew, and then the different mixing melting pots of those play styles.
Right, and since we're like on, you know, pretty much net deck decks, then like, but like suboptimally, then it's kind of amusing because we'll get to play against all these different things.
Right.
And I don't know, it's cute. I don't hate it.
I look so short compared to you in the
I know.
thing.
Yeah, so he's like 85 feet tall, and I'm like average normal human height. So
I'm 6'4". How tall are you?
let's say like 6 foot. I don't know, but he seems a lot taller.
Yes, I seem a lot taller in real life.
He's kind of like a giraffe, but.
Now, I have nothing on Tall Matt, the guy locally, who, if anyone knows who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. He makes me look short.
Tall Matt's actually a really sweet dude. Tall Matt, if you watch, and I haven't like sent you at least like 25 invites yet. You need to subscribe, and we miss you. I miss you, Tall Matt. You were fun to be around.
If he was sitting in the middle of us, his head would be out of frame, I'm pretty sure, depending on what kind of chair he's sitting on.
All right. Well, I've shared everything
on all the different things, so everyone's ignored it.
Yep. All right. Intro. All right, guys. So we're live here at Game Time, and this week we're going to discuss something that kind of matters to us as standard and modern players.
As players of almost every format, actually.
Ban lists.
But first, we've got another pack to crack.
And as always, Eternal Masters.
Don't say as always. If we always crack that, we're just going to be throwing money away. Maybe.
All right.
The best 2 weeks it haven't been a mythic, so if it's another mythic, that's 3 for 3.
If it's 3, then I'm not opening up any more Eternal packs. So, there's my bet.
Foil Jace, do it.
Shelter. Urborg Uprising. Memory Lapse. Abundant Growth. Tragic Slip. That's the pick. Bloodfell Caves. Blah, blah, blah,
Bloodfell Caves.
Yeah. Curd Ape. Mistral Charger. Not Menstrual Charger. Nature's Claim. Deep Analysis. Is that how you say that?
Yes, that is exactly how you say it.
Honden of Life's Web. Shaman of the Pack. Emesitone. I think that's it. It's a mythic. Necropotence.
Necropotence.
Necroimpotence. Because this is on whatever. Wake Dancer. That's our foil. And Elf Warrior is our token.
It's a pretty foil.
Well, I tried to sell you these packs, just so you know. So
Snap Necropotence? Like,
I don't know, it's draft.
I mean, yeah, it's draft, but that's insane advantage. The deep analysis is good, the tragic slip is good, but I mean, just being able to go, I need cards is really good.
Yeah.
And almost all formats.
It's black, so then it leaves you open for the tragic slip to maybe wheel.
I don't think so. That's really potent.
But we have opened up like 4 tragic slips, like back to back to back to back. So it's likely
it's common.
Yeah, like we see it
in a triple same pack draft format. You'll see that common a lot. So maybe it'll wheel if a lot of people aren't in black. Of course, that's the Necropotence is going to really push you towards black unless you start cracking some solid stuff.
Yep. I don't know. You value draft the Necropotence. I guess if we don't take the Necropotence, we'd probably take Shaman of the Pack just for the tribal aspect.
Really onto that green-black tribe, aren't you?
Dude, okay, so Will told me this one time that Elf Tribal in...
Who's Will for the people that don't know who we're talking about?
Will Reed, House of Cards. He's my draft mentor, we'll call him. And he was talking about there's all these tribes and Eternal Masters and how good it is. So I'm going to believe him. I'm going to believe that Elvish Tribal is supposed to be good. And so I just auto-pick that. That's me.
There's a lot of good stuff in EMA. While I'm not a seasoned drafter, especially in that format, there's just so much good stuff in this pack. The Necropotence is good. The Mistral Charger Flyer is really good. Card Ape's really good. Tragic Slip, Memory Lapse. It's got the Shrine that makes tokens.
And speaking of memory lapses, here's a good segue. Speaking of memory lapses, bannings. There's my segue.
Because that card was never banned?
No, more so a lapse of judgment was where I was going with
that.
Okay,
all right.
Yeah, caught the joke. So, yeah, so hard shift. Sorry, John.
No, you're fine.
I'm trying to keep everybody entertained.
Oh, yeah, some people could care less about draft.
Some people would want drafts to get banned. No, so bannings, and how do they affect us as Magic players, though we don't play decks that are even banned, have banned cards in them.
Well, at the point they ban the card, you can't play them.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is like, so if I'm a Magic player, right,
right,
and I'm playing in Splinter Twin era Modern,
okay,
and I'm playing Delver because that's what I was playing at that time.
Okay,
why do I care that Splinter Twin got banned?
because it. So for that ban specifically, it drastically shifted the meta.
And how did it do that, John?
Splinter Twin at the time was kind of the. It wasn't always tier 1, but it was kind of the deck to beat, period. And it pushed out a lot of combo decks because, well, you can do this, but it's not as good as Splinter Twin. Let's just play Splinter Twin.
Yep.
And a lot of stuff in kind of red, bluey colors, kind of Jeskai Grixis stuff was like, well, Splinter Twin is the best win con. Why not just play that?
Yep.
And it pushed out a lot of homebrew decks. Well, if you can't beat consistently a turn 4 Splinter Twin, you're just going to lose.
Yep.
And while it wasn't necessarily that punishing in play for a strictly competitive playstyle point, the meta dominance of it was what I think ultimately led to the banning of Splinter Twin. Just because it pushed out so many control and combo decks, and so many different decks boiled down to either I play Splinter Twin, or this can't beat Splinter Twin, so I'm going to play something that can.
Right. And then when Splinter Twin got banned, then it opened the field for a lot of control decks to kind of come through.
Right.
It opened up, what decks kind of dominated after that? Siege Liege, Coco decks. They were pretty popular. And I think that had to do with the fact that like there wasn't the solid turn 4 always got to win by.
It definitely opened up Modern and threw the meta into a little bit of chaos. However, good or bad, it changed the format forever and kind of forced the meta to evolve forward. And it was, I think, becoming a little stagnant and being held down by Twin almost. Even though it had been a mainstay of the format since almost its inception. However, one could also argue that the removal of Splinter Twin was the first path towards what became Eldrazi Winter that was widely regarded as a bad time in Modern.
Yep. So that does point to the fact that sometimes bannings can be like productive for good metas. Like in getting rid of the Eye of Ugin, right?
In Modern?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Eye of Ugin in Modern. When they nixed that and they left more room for decks to breathe around, it created a lot of good versatility, and actually was really enjoyable for the longest time in Modern to me. Like that's what I think. That's like when I had the most fun with it. It was like right after that banning, when everybody was trying to figure out what else they wanted to do, because they didn't have the giant fatties, and Bolt was kind of the best card again.
Right. Well, to me, someone who has played Infect since the very start of Modern, through even the days of Birthing Pod being kind of the thing to beat, the way bannings affect non-rotating formats like Modern is very different than the way that bannings affect either eternal formats like Legacy, Vintage, EDH stuff, or the way that they affect a real rotating format like Standard.
Right. And I think one thing that we're seeing with the bans in Standard is that it just slaps the format in the face and like lets it shake up and find the new meat and bones and potatoes and bones again.
Well, really, that's kind of what a ban should do. If there's one card or a few cards that are really holding the format down, so it's always a last resort, but sometimes it's just what you have to do.
Right. But I don't even think that like it's necessarily a last resort thing. Like sometimes I feel that bannings keep things fresh because it's like, okay, obviously everybody likes really playing Marvel or whatever. Okay, say Modern. Everybody's playing Death Shadow right now, and maybe they're like, we're sick of it. I'm not saying they should do it. Okay, don't go down and comment and flame me.
Oh, please comment and flame him all day.
Flame me, but like,
because I'm about to take one step further.
But I think that if they ban to make Magic, competitive Magic, more interesting to watch, at least like seasonal bans, it might be interesting.
Well, the thing is, a ban is dependent on the format because the way the format works.
Right.
The way they ban cards in EDH is not the same philosophy as the way they ban cards in Modern, Vintage, Legacy, which is also not the same way they ban cards in Standard. For example, if you just take any format off your head right now, there's bans. Let's take Standard. There are 5 cards banned in Standard. However, they all have very different reasons for being banned. Smuggler's Copter is a It's a new card type that they pushed a little bit too far, and it was very, very powerful to all decks being a colorless card. So that's kind of what led to that and its dominance. Reflector Mage is just super punishing, especially the way that most powerful and competitive decks run 4-ofs, and it can shut you down at times.
But also the fact that it gives you a body, I feel like that there's just too much value in that one card. Like, Failure to Comply is kind of Reflector Mage without a body, and it sees next to 0 play.
Right. And also the way that it can fit into certain colors or archetypes. Then there's a thing like Emrakul, the Promised End, where I don't know if they misjudged how powerful it was or misjudged how people would kind of mind-slaver their opponent's turns, but it also turned out to be very, very powerful. But then there's a band like Felidar Guardian that just R&D did not see until the players saw it. That was... I don't want to really call it a mistake, but it's something they should have been aware of. A turn 4 infinite combo in Standard was something they definitely should have caught, and that kind of slipped through the cracks and led to that banning.
I'm going to take a quick aside and say that since they developed thousands and thousands and thousands of cards, though it's no excuse,
right,
it does sort of sometimes happen.
Although they have taken steps to prevent exactly that thing. There is a new department in Magic called Play Design that it is exactly their job to worry about the health of formats and to find things that would normally slip through the cracks.
And if you guys like metal Magic cards, you should send us their way and help us get there.
Correct. But then also there's cards like Marvel had to be banned. However, that one, I don't think it's exactly R&D's fault. I think that one was more a symptom of the canceled rotation, to where the Battle for Zendikar block was supposed to rotate, but was then canceled. If that block had rotated as planned, you couldn't simply just Marvel into a giant Eldrazi. They wouldn't be legal. They wouldn't need to be banned. You would be marveling into whatever fatty. Of course, that...
Oh,
Razakath, or that also goes back to Emrakul the Promised End, that is another big Eldrazi, but also had to be banned. So you can kind of see how the puzzle pieces do kind of fit sometimes, even when you ban out them.
Right. So, all that said, going into like legacy bannings, I don't have a whole lot of background there, so I can't really comment too much. I do know that Deathrite Shaman, like all the cards that I think are banned in Legacy, I want to say that I don't understand why, but I also don't play the format, so I can't comment too heavily.
Well, to understand Legacy, you have to understand Vintage.
Which we don't have time for that today.
Well, no, it's simple. Vintage is anything that should be banned is instead restricted. Every card, variant ante and weird stuff, every card's legal. Black Lotus, you can play one, but it's legal. Legacy is kind of a step up from that to where there actually are bans.
So, I argue that bannings of cards like Dig Through Time or...
In what format?
In Legacy.
Okay.
That cards like Dig Through Time or Booze Cruise, they're insane card value. Yes, like, no questions asked at all. But, like, is that not the spirit of Legacy? Like, do we not want to play the most broken cards in all 4-ofs? And, like,
that is the spirit of Vintage.
That's fair. All right.
Legacy, because Legacy is arguably the most powerful format with a ban list. Only the most powerful, most crushing things are banned. However, because of that, the format kind of fits differently and does interesting stuff. For example, Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time are almost Ancestral Vision and Fact or Fiction on some kinds of baseball level steroids. Sorry, baseball fans. But in Legacy, when you have to ban a card, it has to be a very dominant card, and it has to be abused. A level of abuse is okay, kind of a force of will brainstorm. No one argues that those cards aren't powerful and almost oppressing at times, but they kind of toe the line. Like, if you are unaware, go look at any Legacy top 8 and just count the number of brainstorms and force of wills. And then keep in mind that those have synergy together, which leads to synergy with other cards like Ponder and Preordain, and, blues. In older formats, blue is just more powerful. It's a fact.
All the blue cards that are banned in EDH. Which I think is a fun point that Brock is going to laugh at. You don't know Brock. Brock's going to know who he is, and he's just going to yell at us for not saying that Wizards just banned blue cards because they hate blue players. Which is not true, though I agree.
Although, you can clearly see how blue is underestimated a lot. Just look in older formats or even things like Modern and look at all the blue cards that are banned. Ancestral Vision was banned in Modern for a long time.
Well, and like the banning of Mental Misstep, I think, is a perfect example. Like, not even like decks that didn't even run blue were
Yes.
running Mental Misstep just because like it ate your butthole.
Mental Misstep was the very definition of a parasitic format warping card, to where even mono green Stompy put this card in its sideboard. That's a problem. To where the only way to fight it is to pack more of it. That leads to a top 8 having, well, 4 times 8 is 32 copies of Mental Misstep. Although Brainstorm and Force of Will get close to those levels, have never approached that.
Right. And I think that was kind of like the meaning behind the Gataxian Probe ban, was that like certain decks are just running it to draw cards and not have blue mana.
So Get Probe allowed you to get kind of, not really card advantage, but you could essentially for free pay in life but not mana, the main threshold in Magic that holds you back. It contributed to things like Delve that were already kind of broken and stuff, you know, goes back to Dig and Cruise. And it was so powerful to, like, turn 1, before you even play your land per turn, you see your opponent's hand, you know how to sequence your first few turns.
Which I think brings us into, especially Gataxian Probe, and free mana, free card advantage, stuff like that. I feel like that is the biggest thing that Wizards doesn't like. And it's not so much that they hate blue players; they hate what blue symbolizes, in the fact that it likes to gain, and so cards like Street Wraith or Simian Spirit Guide, like cards that just let you do things that you're not supposed to do by the rules. That's the inherent issue with cards and why they get banned. And I think that's an important thing to remember when we all get salty every time a ban list comes out, and we're like, "Oh, but I love that card," and there's
I
no
never
reason.
get salty. I love ban lists.
That's whenever I get really.
I'm going to be
salty,
stoned to death as soon as I walk out of this room.
So whenever cards get banned, it's because Wizards didn't. The cards weren't doing what Wizards wanted them to do, and that's the important thing to remember about playing Magic, is that we're all kind of just puppets on a string. But we tie ourselves onto these strings every Friday night. Every time we put on our best looking outfit and go out to the card shop and impress all of Southern nerds, we're playing puppet. We know it. It's fine. You don't gotta lie to yourself about it.
Magic is very fun, and the fact that people get so opinionated over ban lists and the pros and cons of them just shows how invested into Magic they are. The fact that, like, if they changed a minor rule of Monopoly, you know, Monopoly elitists would argue over it, but most everybody else would kind of shrug it off. While Magic is the opposite. One little card gets banned, and everyone's in uproar for weeks. The format's in uproar for weeks. Homebrews and people arguing over the philosophy of what a ban list should be. Or I see threads online of everyone that's like, take Modern and make your own ban list. And everyone argues over, well, you have to do this and this. It's a very intricate puzzle, and everyone has a different philosophy over how it should fit together.
And that is why I believe that, though I don't always agree with Wizards, they're doing an okay job, and I think the ban lists are important to any format to keep it fresh, to keep it exciting, to keep it, at the very least, not super toxic with Eldrazi scum again.
Right, well, it's kind of like a fire extinguisher. You don't want to use the fire extinguisher, but when stuff's on fire, you're really glad you got that fire extinguisher.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, we like ban lists. We don't like them sometimes, but we know why we like them.
Not being able to play cards you own is always kind of feel bad, especially if your deck just gets outright banned out. However, get good. Sorry, but Magic evolves over time. You want to play Standard? I'm sorry, but if you want to keep playing Magic, the metagame evolves. Even if you're playing kitchen table Magic or Magic on my floor in my old house where we used to have homemade tournaments where we would provide our own prizes to our friends and stuff. Even then, there is a metagame. Over time, stuff will change. Decks will change. People will play different decks, and that will kind of fit the metagame. And we never banned cards then, but if we did it now, I'm sure we would have to. Playing, you know, casual, not formats. Cards I own formats.
Oh, okay, and also people who are like, oh, bannings are dumb. Play no ban list, play nothing like that, no cards are illegal, like... Alright, you play against 4 Black Lotuses and 4 of all the power, and then you tell me that's fun. All right, like just because you want to play Dark Ritual in your modern deck doesn't mean it's a good idea. It's not.
Wow.
It.
The you of 5 years ago would slap the crap out of you.
This is for whenever I discover in the past how to travel to the future and watch this video. They have formats and they have ban lists. These are important things to Magic players, and no matter how casual you are, you need to respect that at least you're not playing against 4 Black Lotuses. Ever.
Well,
No. Not
I'm
whatever.
saying, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
Without ban lists, it is possible to build a deck that is impossible to lose turn 1,
Yep.
ignoring counter magic.
Remember that whenever you guys are on the Facebooks typing out your ninja words and saying, oh, they shouldn't ban this card, they shouldn't ban that card. Somebody said that about literally every other card that has been banned.
And every card that hasn't been banned, there's been someone who wanted it banned.
Yeah. People argue that the color blue should be banned because it lets you counter spells.
And that's cheating, and they'll cry.
We're getting too hyped up over this. We're going to go ahead and
No, that's
call
good. Need to be hyped.
We're calling this a day. Guys, you're watching the Dunk Tank. You know where we are. This week it's at game time. Next week, who knows? But you're going to tune in because we're going to discuss a different... You know how this goes. Thanks, guys.